Today, Qiandao Lake is known as a natural paradise. Qiandao means thousands of islands. It is a national scenic area in China where abstracts over 5 million visitors come every year. For most people, Qiandao Lake simply stands for something clean, harmonious, and natural. Qiandao Lake did not begin as a lake. Officially, it is a river reservoir formed when the Xinan River Hydropower Station was built. Approved in 1956 and completed in 1959, the project was the first large-scale dam in China fully designed and built with domestic technology. As the dam closed, the water rose to 108 meters above sea level, flooding roughly 573 square kilometers of valleys and farmland and creating what is now called Qiandao Lake. Today, this reservoir stores billions of cubic meters of water and generates renewable electricity, while also helping with flood control, irrigation, navigation, fisheries, and local climate regulation. In worldwide media narratives, it is presented as a success model, a sustainable landscape where green energy, water security, and environmental protection appear perfectly aligned. The landscapes like this are not just only natural, but also historical, political, and deeply human constructs. In 1984, this reservoir was renamed Qiandao Lake. Beneath the water are 2 ancient counties, 8 towns, 39 townships, and 1,377 villages. More than 30,000 hectares of farmland and 10,000 hectares of forest were submerged, along with hundreds of small factories and over 260,000 houses. Around 290,000 residents were relocated in what archives called a national special operation within 7 months. Around 207,000 people were sent to distant counties in other provinces. Their sacrifice framed as patriotic duty and compensated with only a few months' wages. For human beings, sustainability here means living with long-term consequences. 50 years after the dam was built, a report on Xinan River resettlement recorded that in one village of 600 people, over 400 contracted schistosomiasis during relocation. Displaced from their land, many resettlers lacked stable housing and employment, and for years lived with hunger, disease, and persistent poverty. For many families, displacement meant the loss of farmland and livelihoods, the breakdown of social ties, and not only the loss of homes, but also of local knowledge, identity, and historical continuity. Nowadays, life did not become easier. Decades later, Qinan County is still designated as a special ecological protection zone. To keep the water clean, heavy industry is prohibited, and over 80% of the land is placed under strict controls. Qiandao Lake supplies clean water and hydropower, while the county responsible for protecting this sustainability remains a poor county, constrained by long-term development limits. Dam construction has played a central role in China's modernization process. It has not only shaped infrastructure and energy systems, but also profoundly reconfigured the relationships between nature and human being. Industrialization and modernization often treats individual sacrifice as unavoidable, but development ultimately exists for the people and their rights. In the case of Qiandao Lake, the landscape that is now perceived as natural was produced through the relocation, loss, and sacrifice of an entire generation. And on a global scale, similar projects have reshaped landscapes through displacement. There are documentaries and films have recorded these histories. Many projects have resulted only in the loss of livelihoods, the breakdown of communities, and social conflicts that persist to this day.
You don't know how it was going. He's under the water.
سد الفرات العظيم تنبعد بحيرة الأسد وسيدشن فيما بعد شهرين.
أفهموا حزن الأنهار عندما تجبروا على ترك.
These cases compel us to ask a series of questions. Who has the authority to define what counts as nature? Whose lives are included in calculations of development and sustainability? What other forms of displacement are concealed under the banner of national progress and green narratives? In this context, Submerged does not only refer to lands and towns drowned beneath the water, but to the way landscapes are produced. When infrastructure is translated into nature, and reservoirs are viewed as landscapes, the associated displacement and loss of rights are pressed beneath the surface, excluded from what is allowed to appear as landscape. So, rethinking sustainability begins with what has been submerged by acknowledging histories, social relations, and human presence.